Marwadi ID. Make sure that you are using the Marwadi ID to join the session, because if you are joining from the personal ID, it won't take your attendance, because as I said, I have written a automatic script. So that's why I suggest you to go with the Marwadi ID only. Okay. Now, before I move further, can we discuss a bit about what was the discussion during last session? Anyone? Can I have this quick review of what we did last time? Anyone? Anyone?
We talk about JDBC and the statement and prepare statement.
Okay, we talk about JDBC statement and prepare statement, right? And I told you that we'll be going with the batch processing and like callable statement in today's session. Yes or no? Okay, so can anyone tell me what do you mean by? What do you mean by when I'm saying that we have just a second, guys. Okay, let me share my screen and then we'll move ahead. I hope my screen is visible. Is it visible? Can someone give the acknowledgement? Is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. So we were discussing about yesterday we discussed about types of statement, and we said there are three types of statements, that is statement, prepared statement, and callable statement. Along with that, we said that when we have a statement, we can use or we can make it scrollable or non-scrollable. And we discussed various methods related to it. I have shown you a demo how to move around the records, like how we can go to the first, last, and so on in the record. Along with that, we studied that we can have a prepared statement where we can complete the query at the time of execution. So when we have certain queries which are dynamic, it means that values for completing the query is being taken from the user at runtime. We call such queries as a prepared statement. So if we have prepared statement, we can, if we have dynamic query, then we can go with the prepared statement. And today we are going to discuss about the third type of statement, which is callable statement. So when I say callable statement, as I have given a bit idea yesterday, we said it is the callable statement is an interface which is usually used to call a stored procedure and functions. Fine. If we want to call a stored procedure or a stored function, we can go with it. Now, usually when we have certain portion of query which is more data oriented or some complex things are involved in the database side, at that time programmers can put the business logic, the application code inside the database also, right? So to put the business logic, or you can say certain logical step, you can even I hope you have done it. Have you done it PLSQL in your uh, PBMS subject? Are you done with that? Have you done it? PLSQL was there in your syllabus. If you have done, then say done. Otherwise, say we have not done. If you have not done, I'll try that. I'll give you certain learning resource, and you can just create the procedures from there. Those learning resource. So I suggest during the lab, we will go with this. Okay. Have you worked with PLSQL? Yes or no? Have you learned it or not? Guys, I'm waiting for your reply. Okay, Ahmed is saying I don't remember. Okay, so let me just show you how we can try it. So what is the ultimate purpose? When I'm saying callable statement is a part of your JDBC API. And what it is going to do is it is going to call stored procedure and store functions. And why we have stored procedure and store function is because sometimes the application logic we want to put in the terms of a function being stored at a database site. And when we are going to do this, it will be giving us a better performance because when you store the business logic at the database site, those code are pre-compiled. And as they are pre-compiled, there is no need of compiling those codes again. Fine. And because of that, the performance of system gets better. So for the better performance, we can go with the stored procedures. Fine. Fine. Now suppose here is an example given. What kind of stored procedure we can have. So here is the example. Suppose you need to get age of an employee based on birth date. If you recall, you have learned that there is ER diagram. Do you recall that? You learned the ER diagram and you said that in the ER diagram, when we design a database, we'll have the entities, right? And these entities will have certain attributes. Do you recall that? Right? And we represent it through the ER diagram. And we say that each entity is an table, right? So if I have a student will have various attribute, and then we can have the relation of student with other entity, and relation was developed using the diamond. We were showing this. Yes or no? And then there were the relation many to one, one to many, and all. Yes or no? Right? And based on this, we were having the relationship diagram, entity relationship diagram. So at that time we said that there are certain attributes. So we call the attributes are having of different types. Attributes are the value attached or the feature of an entity. For example, faculty will have faculty ID, salary. Student will have enrollment number, department, name, and all. So from that, we said certain attributes are multi-valued. For example, mobile, right? And based on that, we decide how our database will be designed. So can you tell me age is, I'm giving the example. We said that address, when you say address, we say address is an composite attribute. Yes or no? Why composite? Composite means having the combination of many things. So why it address is composite? Because address is taking the various things together to make an attribute. For example, we'll have house number or house name. We'll have street number. We'll have road name or locality name, and we'll have the landmark nearby, anything big. And we'll have city, we'll have pin, we'll have state, and finally we'll have the country. And finally we'll have country. Okay. So because of this, we are not storing all this together. We have different columns for this. Similar way, when we have age, can you tell me age is which type of attribute?
Derived attribute.
Ahmad, it's a derived attribute because this is derived attribute. What is derived attribute? What is derived by attribute? Yeah, somebody said we can derivate it and someone given the equation. Very good. Who has given the equation? Let me check the chat. Can we see the question answer window? There, Matthews is saying birth date. Yeah, it's birth date or actually it's birth date minus current year. Now it's birth date minus current year minus birth date. You have given the reverse scenario. Matthews. It will be current date because suppose I'm born in the year of 80s around. So what will be my birth date? So this is 2021. So current date, today's date minus my birth date will give me exact age, even in years, month, and days. Fine. So age is a derived attribute, and we can't save it because we cannot save it because every time or every day my age is growing. So when the things are changing frequently, we cannot save it inside the database as a column, but we can write stored procedures. We can write stored procedures to, we can make a function, right? And we can calculate the age. Are you getting the point? Everybody, are you getting the point? What it's saying is, if you want to get age of an employee, you cannot save it because every day it is keep on changing. So that's why we have to create a function that will retrieve date as an input, right? Birth date basically as an input, and it will do the subtraction from the system date, and then it will give you as a return. So it is returning a value. So this is a function, right, which takes the input, which applies the calculation date minus current date minus birth date, and then returns as an integer value, that is age. So it's a function. So we can have such functions to be stored at the um, server side. Can you give me one more example of such one attribute which you feel could be better if we keep it like a derived attribute? Okay, let me tell you, you have to think about employee table. Which attribute of employee will you keep as a derived attribute? Anyone? Which attribute of an employee will you keep as a derived attribute? Nobody's knowing? Okay, let me tell you. What about experience? Yeah, working duration, right? Working duration, which we call the experience with current company. Very good, Ashish. Sorry, Neol. Neol, very good. Working duration in year, insert in short experience. Yeah, methods is also saying experience. Exactly. How will calculate? How will calculate the experience? How we will calculate? System date minus joining date. Ashish Pandey is saying exactly. That's how we are going to discuss, right? System date minus starting of date, or Ahmad saying, or we can say joining date, right? Resignation date minus employment date. Now that will give the current. Yeah, exactly. That will also give the serving period. How long an employee has served to particular organization. So for that we can take employment date till the resignation. But if I want to count the total experience, if I'm currently working, then current date minus system date. So very good. We have two attributes of an employee, that is total experience in a particular company. So it will be system resignation date minus employment date, as Neol is saying, as well the experience with a particular company of the current employee also. So it will be, then it will be system date minus joining date. Okay, very good. So I'm feeling good that you all are thinking. In if you are thinking, then and then you can learn. Okay, so callable statement, I guess everybody is clear. So this is from, but not from the Java, but I want you to be aware. That's why I am discussing over here. When I'm saying stored procedure and stored function, this is from the context of database. Here is the difference. Here is the difference. Usually when you have certain business logic, you will go with the stored procedure, right? You will go for the stored procedure. I'm giving you an example. Suppose I'm entering an employee ID and I want to know to which department that employee is working. So this is business logic, right? I have to select an employee. So I'll say select S name, employee name from employee table where employee ID is equal to entered one, right? So in this business logic, we are taking employee ID and integer value as an input. We are putting a where condition, right? And we are having employee name as an output. Fine. So we have two types of variable over here, in and out. Usually stored functions and stored procedure works with the parameters, and there are three types of parameters. We call it as an in parameter, which is used to take the input. We call it as an out parameter, which is used to go with the or behave or carry the output value, and some parameters are known as in out. Same parameter will be used for input and same for the output. For example, if I want to give 2000 bonus in the current month salary to everyone, current month onwards I want to give bonus 2000 rupees to every employee, right? So maybe we'll give the input. What is the bonus? We'll say 2000, right? Right. And uh, if you are calculating, or it may be like you want to give the 10%, right? So 10 you have given as an value, and when you are giving it and you want to take the bonus amount, what is the total amount? So somebody having 10,000 salary will have 1000 rupees. Somebody having the 20,000 salary will have 2000 rupees bonus, right? So if I want to get what is the amount of bonus, I'm giving an input bonus in percentage, and I'm taking out bonus as an a total amount. So in that case I can use same variable bonus only to be used as an input variable and output variable. Okay, so this is in out variable. So I'm talking like when we have prepared statement, you can go with the when you're having callable statement, you can use in out or in out variable. As I said, in is the parameter whose value is unknown when SQL statement is created, right? And we can use the setter method. So it is like your prepared statement. It is like your prepared statement object. You can use a set and you can give the value. Similar way, out is the parameter which is supplied by the SQL as a return value. Fine. So out is the parameter which deals with the return value. So in your code, you have to get that value. So obviously we'll have the getter method, get access. We'll have getter method. Over here, set xx and get xx is talking about the data type, right? For example, if I have to set a value for the employee ID, and if it is an integer, I'll say set int, right? If I'm working with varchar student name, then I'll say set string, right? So here xxx is the replacement of any valid data type. Similar way with getter method, when I say get xx, which is used with your output variable to read the value of your output variable, if value produced by your database is an integer, we'll say get int. If value produced by your SQL is varchar, it will be treated as a string. So we'll take it as a string here. If value produced is a date, we can go with get date. If it is double or float, whatsoever is the data type, we will go with that getter method. Fine. Up till now, any doubt? Right? And when I say in out, as I said, it is providing both input and output values. So with such variable, you can bind both the methods, getter method as well as the setter method. Okay, fine. Now, how to create the procedure? How to create the procedure? So usually when I say stored function or procedure, these are the collection of various code lines, right? So if you are using Oracle, this is the way to write it. You'll use some delimiter, any symbol. So sorry. You'll use any delimiter. So over here, delimiter states that this is the start and this is delimiter end, right? And when you are using procedure to be create, first you are using drop procedure if exist, right? If it is already existing, then you are dropping it, and then you are saying database dot procedure name, okay? And then this is the dollar braces, $2 sign, which says this is start and end of your procedure, right? Now we are writing create procedure mu dot get student name, okay? It will create a procedure with the name of get student name. And as we want to get a name, we will need two things. Suppose I have this table. Oh, where is my table? Yeah. Here I have students table. Okay. What I want to do is, if I'm providing the ID, let us say I am giving 7. If I'm providing the ID 7, it has to return me the name. So we can write the procedure. I'm saying that you can write that procedure over here. That entire procedure, if you want to type, you have to type it here, right? You have to type it here. But suppose you don't want to type it. You don't want to type it. Then I'll tell you the easy way. What you can do is, what you can do is, uh, you can create a procedure by going to your database. So this is my mu database, okay? I'll go to the routines. Can you see here top? Guys, please acknowledge. Can you see here routines? Okay, are we connected?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then I'll create a routine. I'll say add routine. Add routine. I'm saying get name. This is routine name, okay? As there is no calculation, so this is procedure, not a function. I can write the body by writing begin and end, okay? And in between, I have to write the query. So what is my query? I am taking an variable where ID as an input variable, right? So I have to specify the parameter where SID. This is the variable which I am taking as an input. I'm taking one more variable which is out type of variable, because SID, an integer value, I am giving as input. If I'm giving 3 is the input, student ID, so it is an integer value. I want in output the name, so name is a varchar value, so I will take a out type of variable of type varchar, right? I can give a name var underscore name, so this is my variable now. And here we can write the body. So we have written begin and end. We said select s name into. Now you see this, if we have not written, what will be the normal query? The normal query is select s name from student where sid is equal to entered value. But now we are running this procedure over the database server, and we want to take it back to our program. So we have to store it in inside output variable, and our output variable is where underscore s name. Okay, so what I did is I said select s name, and we have to give that s name into out variable from students, my table, okay, where sid is equal to where sid. So where sid is the value coming from the program, okay? So I'm repeating again. First you have to give a routine name, right? Then based on whether it's calculative or business logic, based on that you can select either to be it as a procedure or function. Major difference is, if it is function, it will do the calculation and it will have return statement. But when it is procedure, it will not have any calculations. Parameters, I said that it could be in, out, or you can see the third category, it could be in, out together, okay? You can drop the parameter or you can add the parameter while creating the procedure from this two buttons. Add parameter will add, drop link will delete the parameter. For our logic, we take two parameter, in input student id, out student name. And input we have used as a value of where condition. We say it is where sid is equal to where underscore sid. So where underscore sid is coming from the Java program. So when I say go, it will create the procedure, right? it will create the procedure. So here I have that procedure. Okay. Yeah, mind well that if you are taking a variable which is varchar type, then you need to give the length, right? So if I have taken var sid, I'm adding one more variable out. I'm saying var s name, and as it is var character, I need to give the length. Okay, my processor name was get student. Okay, we'll say begin, we'll say end, and we'll say select. Now column name s name, right? We'll say into out variable. What is our out variable? Var underscore s name, right? We say from, we'll say from students, and we'll say where sid is equal to the input one, that is where underscore sid. Fine. And I'll just click on go. And can you see it is created, right? You can see here get student. I can execute here. So I'll click on execute. It is asking me enter where sid. Let us enter 13 and I click on go. It is giving me name Ria. Can you see this? Variable s name. Can you see this? Right? Let me execute it again. I'm giving the value 3. I click on go and it says Taru. Fine. So these are the queries coming from students table through the procedure. Fine. Now, let us see a program, how we can go with it. So we said when we have stored procedure and store functions, we can use callable statement, right? We said we can go with the callable statement. And when you are using the callable statement, you have a method prepare call, which is belonging to the connection interface, right? Right? So prepare call will return you an object of callable statement, right? So what you can do is to create the object of callable statement, right? So over here we are creating callable statement as tmt. We can use the prepare call method which is there in connection interface. As prepare call is the method of connection interface, we are writing con.prepare call. Con.prepare call. How you will call it? This is the method. So it is having the parenthesis in double quote. We'll write curly braces start and curly braces end. Then we will use the keyword call. We'll use the keyword call and then we'll write the procedure name and we'll put the placeholder for the arguments. Right? In our case, our procedure name was get student, which was taking only single value, right? In that case, we'll do single question mark, right? Right? But as it is returning us, then we need to mention that also. But in short, to create an object of callable statement, you are going to use the method prepare call, which is belonging to connection interface. Okay? Should I move forward? Should I move forward? Okay, so let me show you that demo. So here I have implemented that, I have called that same method. Get student name is my method which takes one ID as an input and it returns us the output as an student name. So I need java.sql.star as well. I need to scan the value student ID. That's why I'm using the scanner class also. This is the example of callable statement out, right? We are using in out both variable. So you can see here we have step number 1. register the driver. Step number 2, make the connection. And step number 3, create the statement. And over here, we are creating the callable statement. As I told you, callable statement object CS, which we are creating, can be created with the help of prepare call method, which is belonging to connection interface. So we are using connection.prepare call. We are using double quote argument of prepare call as a string, and we are doing curly braces start, curly braces end in between the keyword call. And now we are calling over here get student name method. Fine? Fine? Are you getting the things, guys? Kindly acknowledge. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, over here, get student name takes one argument, one int type of variable, that is student ID, and it returns the name. So usually return will be at last, the last question mark. First one is the input and last one is the output. Okay. Now for this statement CS, we have to register the output parameter. So I'm saying that callable statement dot register out parameter. So I'm saying second is marking or pointing to the second question mark. So we say 2 comma java dot sql dot types dot varchar, right? Because when database is processing, it will take the argument or it will process the variables as per its data type. And we know that varchar is the data type of MySQL. In Java, we don't have that. In Java, we have string. So we have to register that output variable or output parameter for our callable statement. So we are writing the entire line over here, which is cs dot register output parameter, and that is second question mark, second placeholder. We said comma java dot sql dot types dot varchar. Okay. Now we have to ask the student ID from the user. So we are taking scanner class object sc equal to new scanner system.in. We are asking user to enter student ID system.out.println, and now we are taking e number, enrollment number, which is student ID, as a variable, and I said sc.next int, and now I am setting it, right, cs.set int, I am setting it inside the first question mark of your procedure call. Okay, so now first question mark is taking e number and the second question mark is holding the output parameter. To execute this, we have to just write callable statement dot execute. If you recall yesterday's discussion, we said callable statement will be executed with the help of execute method, right? And finally, whatever output is there of this procedure, it is at here, second question mark, right? So I can use this object because now this object is holding all this thing. So I can use that object and I say cs dot get string, because second parameter is register for SQL varchar data type, and SQL's varchar data type is mapping with the character or string data type of Java. So that's why to get the student name, we are saying for this object, take the second placeholder's value. So we are saying cs.getString 2. Is it clear? Is it clear? If I run this file, it says enter student ID. I enter 1. It says Tarannu. Let us check it. This is my table. Can you see? 1 is Tarannu. Okay. Let me run it again and enter the student ID as 5. It says Priya. Can you see this? 5 is Priya. Okay. Is there any question, any doubt in the code? Major thing which you have to focus here is how to create a callable statement object, how to use register output parameter, and how to access the out parameter. That's it. If you're clear with this thing, you will be able to run this program. Look at the code. If you have any doubt, you can ask the query. Line number 15 and 16 are the common lines. of step 1 and 2. And step number 5, which is optional, connection dot close. Fine. Step number 2, create the statement. Here we created a callable statement. And step number 4, execute query. Fine. Should I stop sharing this program? Any doubt, any query, anyone?
Clear.
Clear. Okay. Okay. So now let us move ahead and discuss a very interesting scenario. I'm much more fascinated about this topic because I love the magic being done with the DBMS. I really feel it's kind of a magic being done. So before I move forward, you need to answer me quickly certain questions. Can you tell me what is transaction? I guess we discussed, but still, what is transaction? So we say transaction is single logical unit of a work, right? Uh, and we gave an example. I guess I discussed this. We have an account A. So first we will read it, which is your select query. And if you're transferring $50, we'll do this. Yes or no? And then we say we will write the updated value. Do you recall this? Do we discuss this? I guess no. This is with some other class. Are we done with this discussion ever?
Yes, ma'am, we did.
Yeah, I guess we are done, right? So yeah, quickly let me revise that. When I say transaction, it means there are so many operations or steps needs to be executed together, right? It needs to be executed together. So it is a single logical unit of a work which is performing a task. So over here you see the scenario is transferring $50 from account A to account B. So first we need to read the account, which is select query. Then we'll do some calculation and then we'll update the value. And then finally we'll read the account B, will add that amount to the existing balance and then we will update the value. Okay. So this is the single transaction or a single block of unit. So from here it begins and here it ends. So all the transaction needs to maintain the atomicity, durability and consistency. So when I say atomicity, it means that either all or none of this operation should be performed. Are you getting the point? Atomicity in transaction. Transaction is having acid properties. Transaction is having acid properties. So what is transaction? A single unit of a work, so many statements together performs a single functionality. For example, functionality is transfer money. If the functionality is transfer money from one account to another account, we need to do all this thing together. So this is single logical unit of a work, but it is including so many statements together. So when we have single logical unit of a work, it is known as transaction, and transaction must have to follow the ACID properties in order to have the transaction management. So over here, ACID properties, A stands for atomicity, which means either all, successful or none. So it means that if I have the 6 steps, either all of them has to be performed or none of them. Okay. The second property, which says consistency, it ensures that the database should be in a consistent state. For example, balance, suppose there is let us assume there are only 2 accounts. So before this transfer, if the total amount is 50,000, even after the transaction, this is money transfer, that's why it is also has to be 50,000. Then it's called consistent state. There should be no loss of value, right? There should be no loss of value. As well, isolation, that is transaction is isolated from other transaction. It should not disturb other ongoing transaction. And durability, it means that once the transaction is done, those value should be saved permanently. It has to be committed, right? right? So even if there are some error or power loss, we need to maintain this durability of the data. Fine. So to do so, with the SQL, we have two major command, which is we call commit and rollback. Commit and rollback. Now, when transaction starts, and let us suppose it is performing all these 6 steps, then at last we have to commit it. When the commit is happening, it means it is done, right? But we are talking about web applications or the application which is connected to database. So at times we may disconnected from the database. So if we are getting disconnected from the database, suppose we performed the first 3 operations. It means we read the current balance from account A. We subtracted, after subtraction, new balance which is less than $50, we updated the account A. And now suppose system is failing. If system fails over here due to the network error or power failure or some one or another reason, it is getting fail. Now what is the situation? You see, it was $50 we transfer, right? So now the balance is here. In the beginning it was 50,000, which is now 499,000, right? But on the other end, if we are not giving this 50 rupees to here, if system has been failed, then we'll have loss of those 50 rupees. In that case, database is in inconsistent state. Can you see this? Right? When it was begin, it was 50,000. It was 50,000. When half done, at that time it has become 49,950. So we have loss of 50 rupees in between. Where it has gone, no, we don't know, because this has not happened, right? So what we can do is we can apply the commands which are commit and rollback. Commit and rollback. So what you can do is, as well, we have one more which is called save point, right? If the system fails half done, we have to roll back. So when you are writing the command rollback, it will do the things undone. Fine? Fine? And if all the steps are performed, suppose we don't have system failure. If we don't have any system failure and all the steps are being forwarded or executed simply, we have to write commit, right? So in order to roll back, we are saving the point in between, right? In between we can save. So usually this is the step which is changing the database state. So what we can do is we can say this save point P1. Suppose now system fails here. Suppose system fails here. This is your program code. So there's no problem. It is not changing the database. After write operation, if system fails, then from here we can say roll back to P1. Roll back to P1. What it will do? It will do undo. So here you have updated the account A, but because of the system failure, it has not been added to account B, and that's why this update we are doing undone. These steps need to be undone. Fine? Fine. So we can roll back to save point P1, which will not keep the operation like with the updated value. Instead, it will restore it to the previous state. It will restore it to the previous state. Is it clear? Is it clear, guys? Any question, any doubt in the ACID properties? So we do have set auto commit and rollback. These are the three commands or three methods which are available with the connection interface. So we can say connection dot set auto commit. By default it is true, right? So automatically it commits, and that's why when you insert a query using the database, it is getting committed. It is saving it permanently. Do you know that if you are working directly with the database, your all DML statements are not auto-committed. Can you listen my statement? What I'm saying is, are you getting my point? I'm saying all DML statements are not auto-committed. And that's why in our labs it has happened that if you are using SQL 10G or 12C, whatever, you are inserting 5 records, right? You create a table first, okay? You created a table, you inserted a 5 records, and then lab was over. So what you did is you just simply went out of the lab. At that time, next time when you are opening your database, this 5 records will not be there. But with certain students, it will be there. Certain student, it will be there. Why? I'm giving another statement. I'm saying all DDL statements are auto committed. So once you are starting your lab, suppose somebody has written a create table, which is DDL query. Then it has, or he or she has inserted 5 records, which is DML query. And now if system fails, I mean student is simply going without commit. In that case, as the DDL statements are not auto committed, this 5 records will not be there next time when he or she will come in the lab. But suppose there was another student who did the same thing, who has created a table, which is a DML statement, fine. As well, he inserted 5 records, right? And he was bit faster. So when it was the instruction, that you need to create 2 table and you need to enter 5 records, he created the another table also, right? He created another table. So this is again a DML statement. Now see the scenario. DDL statement, DML statement, and again DDL statement. As I said, DDL statements are auto committed. So even if he has not typed commit, his records will be there. His records will be there because DML statement, if you are firing after DML statement, then it saves the data permanently in your database. Another scenario, one more student created a table, which is DDL statement, inserted a 5 record, which is a DML statement, and now he is also slow, and that's why he is not having the time to create the second table. But what he did is he typed command commit. So when he has typed the commit, this 5 records will be saved. Only in this case the record will not be saved. Fine. We said DML commands are not auto committed. It means that you need to give the commit command. So here this student has given the commit command. Here this student has not given commit command after DML statement, but he executed the DDL command. So what DDL command does is it saves all uncommitted work, and that's why 5 records are also saved. Clear? Is it clear? Should I move forward? I'm going to show you the last program, then we'll stop here. I again ask you to look at your login. Please join using Marwadi email address only. Should I move forward and show the last program quickly? Guys, can you give me the acknowledgement? Okay, somebody is typing in chat.
Yes,
Okay. Okay. I wish in between you should speak at least yes or no, so that I'll be like I'm connected. Otherwise, I feel I'm like a news reader, reading the news, don't know whether people are listening or not. So I'm going to show you one example which is really interesting about commit. So I have transaction demo program. Now you see I have sql.star. I taken a util. Step 1, register the driver. Step 2, make the connection. Now we are being fast in this because you know this already. Once the connection is established, what I'm doing is I'm saying connection.auto commit false. Now unless I type the commit, it won't commit. Okay, I have to give the commit command. Until this, it will not commit. Otherwise, you recall the last scenario. You have taken a scanner class and you have made a prepare statement to insert the record. and then you were not writing the commit, but still this DML queries, which is not auto committed by nature, but still it was saved in the database, because just now our slide said that by default set auto commit is true, right? Now what we are doing is we are making it false. As we have made it false, it is our responsibility to press the commit. Now I have taken a while loop, because why I'm doing this is I want to insert multiple records, right? And whatever I enter, I want to make sure that whether I enter it, whether I want to commit or not. So by default, I changed the default scenario and I said connection.set auto commit false. Taken a scanner variable, named it as a BR, creating a prepared statement to insert the record inside students table. So SID is primary key, so I'm not taking. I have taken S name, S department, and result, 3 values. So I'll scan 3 values from the user. Enter name, enter department, and enter result. Now this is while loop. So now I'm setting the statement, prepared statement placeholders 1, 2, and 3, name, department, and result. And I say ps dot execute update because it is integer value. Now I'm asking user, want to do commit or rollback? And I'm saving that answer inside the string variable answer. If user says commit, then and then I'm going to save that record. If user says rollback, then I'm not going to save that record. Even if user has entered the value, I'm not going to save it inside the database. Are you getting the scenario? I am saying execute update. So when I'm saying execute update, my this insert query will be executed. But to save it or not, that depends on the commit command. By default it was set true, that is the scenario in JDBC. That's why it was saving your previous exams record in database. But now we have made it false, so it is our responsibility. So what we wrote the logic over here is, if user says yes, if user's answer is commit, then we are going to make connection.commit. If user says rollback, then we are going to roll it back. Okay, then I'm asking user, do you want to add more record? If yes, then I am going to ask for the more details. The loop will continue. But if your answer is no, if answer is no, in that case, I am going to break the loop and I am going to do the final commit. Okay. Let us run this example so you'll have the idea. It says enter name. Okay, let me see this name, what I have. Okay, I'm entering the name Java. It is not there. Okay. So I'm entering the name Java programmer, let us say for simplicity. And result 4.5. It says, do you want to commit or roll back? It says, want to commit or roll back? I'll say roll back. I said roll back. It says roll back successfully, right? It says want to enter more record. I'll say yes, right? It is asking me the name. I said Taru, department CE, result 4.5. None of the record is having 4.5 record. You can see here result 4.5. Okay, now I'm pressing the enter. It says commit or rollback. I'll say commit. Want to add more record? I said no. Now what is this transaction you see? I add one record Java programmer, but for that I gave commit no, right? And for the last record I gave commit yes. Transaction is processed successfully. Let us check it. So can you see last record was Rima 18 and now we have Taru. But you see that 19 number is not there. Why? Because when we executed the query, 19 was assigned to Java developer. It was assigned to Java developer. But we gave commit false. So even if it was generated, the ID was generated, we have not saved it inside the database. And that's why 19 has been not assigned to the record which is inserted after Java developer, which was Taru. So it has having the ID 20. Is it clear? Is it clear? Any question, any doubt? So this is really interesting scenario. So that's it from my end today. If we quickly recall what we have discussed today, then we have discussed two major points. That is what is callable statement, and for that we learn how to call a procedure, and we learn what is the difference between procedure and functions. Though there are more differences, which you can see here. Uh, it is for business logic, it is for calculation, it will have no return type procedure, whereas function will have return type. It will return 0 or more values, but function will return only one value. And we can call functions from procedure, but reverse is not true. Procedure cannot be called from a function. Procedure supports in and out parameter, whereas functions only support input, because return is default. It will always have the return value. That's why no need of output variable. Exception handling using try catch block is used. Here we cannot use the try catch block. I'm talking about at server side. Server side you can use try catch block in procedures, whereas in function you can't. Fine. So this is the major difference. Okay, so we are closing the session with the closing remark that functions and procedure, what to choose depends on the developer. We learn stored procedures. We learn what is in variable, what is out variable, and what is in out. We learn how to create a stored procedure in the Ahmad is asking clear ma'am, but can you show me where we are applied the answer on applied the answer on CS. Here, have you seen that example? This is our example where we have student name as an output. So here is CS dot output 2, and this output 2 is representing question mark 2 is get string. So we can use callable statement object dot getter method to read that out variable. Ahmed, are you seeing this? So here we have used that out variable. Fine. Okay. So next time when you are coming, we are going to start with the batch processing, which is, I guess, almost the last topic of the unit. So come up with your queries next time, because I'm going to close the session for unit 2 and we are going to proceed with unit number 3. So meanwhile, if you have questions related to unit 2, you can just look at the videos and you can just ask me your queries in the next session. Next session will complete this unit by discussing the batch processing, and then we'll move forward with unit number 3, which is J2EE theory session. There's no practical in unit 3, only theory. Okay guys, that's it from my end. Now you all can leave if you don't have any further query.